Gunnerman Group is a go.
Yes! Not just a startup, an upstart.
Gotta get going. Gotta be good.
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 Growth is the goal. How do we do that?
I talked to UPS. They'll help us out. New technology, smart advice. We focus on the business, and they take care of the logistics.
UPS.
Good going.
We get good. That's great.
Great. Great.
Great.
Great.
Great.
Great.
Great.
Great.
Great.
I love logistics.
Well, thank you for being here. We're excited about the season beginning. We're tired of blocking each other and tackling each other. And as most teams in America, we're excited for that opening game, just to play somebody in the jersey of a different color. That would be Howard University. And we're looking forward to the game Thursday night. Our players have come through a pretty rigorous preseason schedule. I'm very pleased that we had no major injuries. We didn't lose people that key people to injuries, and that's always important, that you have the guys on the field that you are counting on. So we got through the preseason very well and got through that with minimal amount of injuries to the guys that are in the starting positions. At least people got well by the time of the first game. We come in with a little different atmosphere, and the expectation level is at a different level this year than it's been here for a while, and that would precede even my being here, my position here, and that a lot of people are expecting big things out of this season. Whether that's premature or not, that will be seen. But I think our players are excited about it. I've expressed to them and that if you're going to be a good football team, you're going to be a winning program somewhere along the line. You can't be the underdog all the time. And we've been the underdog for so long that we have to learn how to play from a different position. And so I think it's added some excitement to the players. They understand that they're expected to play a little better right now. And I'm looking forward to that and to see if they rise to that level of expectation. It's a long season, and we know at Akron, if we're going to continue to improve, we've got to play one game at a time and win the very next game, and that game needs to be the most important game. And with that, we are ready to go up against Howard University, and I'll open it up for questions.
Terry, you mentioned expectations as a coaching staff. How did you and the coaches decide that you were going to go about trying to facilitate that for the kids? I mean, do you want them necessarily thinking that large?
Yeah. Well, I didn't put it up for vote. I will say that with my staff. I decided we would, but we talked about it a little bit. You know, to me, you relish it. You embrace it. You know, you don't sit there and apologize for everybody thinks we're going to be a lot better. I would have, when I first heard it, it was at the MAC conference. I thought it was a little premature. I mean, Ohio University's really built their program up, and many people picked us ahead of a team that's really proven and established themselves year in and year out. But we finished strong, 4 out of 5 wins, 3 in a row. A bowl-type team that we knocked kind of out of a bowl at the very end. So that brought those type of expectations. So so we began to say, you know, let's relish that. Let's accept that and use that as a challenge. You know, hey, we're expected to play well now. Let's go play well. We're expected to play well. We've got some exciting new uniforms. I'm going to dress you in an exciting way. Now let's play exciting football. So again, all I can say is that I think as a coaching staff, I've never been one to be a bad mouther. I've never been one to spout pessimism as opposed to optimism. I've always said, let's go talk our game up and talk our team up and see if we can rise to that expectation level. But like I said, all the coaches have worked hard. We're going to be a better football team. We have to win a lot of close ball games. We won a lot of close games last year. There's an old coaching thing you do is you pull out that schedule before the season, you circle the teams you're supposed to beat, and you circle the ones you're probably not supposed to beat, and you put that back in your desk and you see where you end up at the end of the year. I would imagine that most of the teams on our schedule would still circle us as a win on their schedule. Most of them, and they would do it realistically. So what we got to do is we got to go out there and be a better football team and go win a bunch of close football games. You know, and again, we're talking the season right now because it's the opener. Our focus is on let's get game number 1. I remember when I went to Auburn, and all I could think about doing was trying to win 6 games. If I could just win 6, the last guy won 5. If I could just win 6, and I was so nervous. I win. So what we did, we focused on every single little game. The ones we were non-conference, let's make sure we win that one. Then the next one, we may never beat Florida down the road, but let's beat this one. You know, we got Southern Miss. Let's beat that one. So if we can play them one game at a time, then you can change your schedule. You can change your goals on down the road. But we just want to, take it one game at a time, try to get wins where we can get them and go from there.
When you arrived, the big emphasis was on changing the culture.
Right.
Do you finally think you've completed that task, or can you quantify how close you were to completing that task?
No, we're definitely not there yet. We you can't. We're still potential for is where we still have. We haven't done it yet. But I think to some point, changing the culture to me means when players go onto the field, deep down inside, subconscious or otherwise, they feel like they're going to win and not lose. They feel like good things are going to happen, not bad. That in the end of the game, if it's tight, we're going to find a way to win. To me, that's the culture of losing that just creates losing. The only way you can overcome that is by winning. Is by actually seeing the results of playing a 60-minute game and having the outcome different than it'd been before. And the only thing that happened, you have to win. So last year we won 4 out of our last 5. We won 3 in a row. Somewhere along the line, I believe especially Toledo, where we had to hold them from a 2-point play to win the game. We block an extra point to force them to go for 2. They have to go for 2 at the end. We stop them and win the game against a team clearly favored over us. So the culture of losing, I think, to that extent is over. I think our kids expect to win ball games a lot more than they did before. Now, do we have a lot of games that we're favored? Not. We haven't changed a lot of the other things that have got to come along. We've got to be better talented. We've got to go out there and be a dominant football team and be one that there's another level to get to. But right now, I think we've got the next most important thing was to get our players to go into the 2 games feeling like they could win the game and not that something bad would happen that would lose the game. And I think that's the culture that we had over the years here, and that I think we've begun to overcome.
Terry, go ahead, Tommy Brown update, anything?
No, I don't. I do believe that my understanding is the NCAA deals with these cases and know they've got to come up with answers very quickly just to render a decision. I don't feel any question that the decision will be rendered in time for the first game. It's not like they're going to miss it because they've got stacks of them, and they know who plays on Thursday and who plays on Saturday, and I think they want to make an equitable decision. Or at least a timely decision. Whether it's equitable or not, we'll see in our minds, but it will be timely. So and we know the fact situation, and we hope that it's in our favor. So we don't know. Only the NCAA can determine, and they don't give us any indication. But we do know fact situations and how they've been dealt with in the past. And so we've practiced him a lot, anticipation. But we also practice our number 2s as much as number 1. So we've practiced him as a number 1 quite a bit, but 2 until the waiver is finally the appeal is looked at and the answer is handed down. We won't know that answer until hopefully tomorrow, next day.
Terry, you mentioned being healthy for the opener. How about their stamina, because it hasn't been too hot except the next couple of days. It's been pretty wet, pretty.
Last 2 days, yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, it's been really a mild summer, But last year we had the coldest day in August in the history of our state last year during August. We're still learning how to play in cooler weather in the summer. Most of our coaches are from the South. I'm just assuming this is how it is in Northeast Ohio, and it's very pleasant. Yeah. I was not raised down. I was raised in Morgantown, so I do remember it being hotter than this. But the thing is, we don't even play a game below the Mason-Dixon line, I don't think. We play all of our games up north. And so all of our opponents have gone through the exact same summer, and they'll be and if it's a hot day, we'll both not be ready for it. If it's a cold day, we'll both be ready for it. So I think it's a non-issue right now. We don't go to Tennessee. We don't go to Florida International or Central Florida. We've got Pitt, Penn State on the road, Marshall at home, and Howard at home. And then by the next week, we got Eastern Michigan and Miami, and then so everybody's from around here, and so the weather just should not be a factor to this season for all of us school teams.
Is Kyle Pohl ready to take that next step he needs to take?
Kyle was a first-year starter last year as a redshirt sophomore, and when you look at the totality of the season, I thought he did very well. He got sprained his ankle against Central Florida. We lost our backup the next game against James Madison. He had to play a lot on a real bad wheel and limited what he could do. He took some incredible shots. We couldn't do much with him. Struggled around about Ohio University time in the middle of the season. The bad weather, it really couldn't do much. Well, at that point, there was a little bit of struggle. But by the end of the season, I wouldn't have traded his performance for anybody in our conference the way he was playing. I wouldn't mind had Jordan Lynch every now and then, but I would, but I still liked the way Kyle was playing. So is he ready to go to the next? Yeah. The next level to me is just Kyle now assume the leadership role. Now you've got the confidence of being a returning starter. We haven't had one in 3 years. Now be a vocal leader. Now be the clear leader of our offensive football team. Be the clear leader of our team, but specifically of our offense. I heard him yell at one of the players today on the field, and I said to one of the guys standing next to me, that's probably one of the first or second times I've heard him yell at a player. I like him once every now and then to yell at a player. I think that's the type of vocal leadership he can now assume, because I think he's going to naturally be better because he's 1 year more experienced. He's been in Michigan. He's been in Toledo late in the game. He's been in some critical games, been in some bad weather, been in all those circumstances that help you to grow. And I think he's a very hard worker. He's very, very smart. And so what I would like him to do now, the talent level should be a little better, because he's older. But really the thing that I want to see now is a mature, experienced leader showing that leadership in critical situations, the poise under pressure, all those things that you label a great quarterback with. So that's the next level for him. But there's other levels he can. He's got 2 more years after this. And he's going to really, if he continues to work like he has, he's going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. So, like right now, the next level I think is okay. Now assume the leadership position.
Did he win that job, or was it injury related, or?
What, this year?
Yeah.
No, there was nobody. He beat everybody out. He heads and tails above. There's nobody on our roster that would raise his hand and say, I did better than him, I should be playing. He's clearly number one. He played.
Tommy was important.
He's clearly number 2. Yeah, I would think. I would think to be fair to Tommy, he won the position. Nick has been banged up, but I think he was healthy enough to say, okay, you guys had to fall out. So I think Tommy was number 2. And Nick is number 3, and Nick will be that guy that can go and give you experience if he has to. But I think Tommy earned that position. It wasn't handed to him because of Nick's injuries.
One question on Kyle. Is, now that he's in his second year in AJ's playbook, has he grasped the playbook? Can AJ open it up for Kyle, or is there still? No,
I think Kyle can handle whatever playbook we got. I mean, KJ uses the same playbook we had when I was at North Alabama when we put it in. The playbook hasn't changed. I think Kyle can handle that playbook. Now, last year, remember, by midseason, we were trying to find some way to win football games, and our defense was playing better and better. And we were getting to the end of the season where some teams weren't that good. They weren't better than us. And we knew we had a chance to win games by just not losing games. And you could see us dull down our offense or dumb down our offense. Let's punt it. Let's don't go for it on 3rd and long. Let's run a draw and punt it back. So in order to win a close ball game, whereas when Dalton was here, people were scoring to play a minute, and they were playing zone on us all. They would let us score because they were always scoring because we were struggling a lot, and so and we were always trying just to catch up. And you could throw it all. Last year the object was one object: find a way to have 1 point more than the other team. And so by my design, AJ, we didn't give Kyle a lot of stuff at the end to do other than don't make a mistake. Let's go out there and let's put this game into the 4th quarter, into the final series, and try to get us to win number 2. Okay, let's try to get us to win number 3. Let's try to get the first road win. Let's try to get the first, whatever it was. He was ready. He's been ready for the offense, but he's more ready. He's more developed now. All that being said, if we play better as a team, we want to open the offense up a lot more, But we are a building football team, and we've got to build our football team and get wins, however we can at this point. I mean, most offensive coordinators, they know if they can average 30 or 40 something points a game, their stock's going to rise as a coordinator. And defensive coordinator might want this, and as a head coach, I just want to win right here, right now. But anyway, I do think the offensive notebook will open up, not so much because of his ability to do it, but because of our ability to play with it.
What's your
Go ahead.
What's your comfort level with your receivers right now?
Steady, very steady. I still feel like they have to play. They have to play lights out and play steady because we don't have a great dominant player that is we don't have the great LT probably right now as he's shown he can do. He's probably our go-to guy, but he's still not a. He still hasn't proven to be but dominant yet. Now, hopefully he'll have that. We're going to give him every chance to be that. When we put this offense in, I originally went out to Texas Tech where the exact same offense, and there's Crabtree out there getting 100-plus balls every year. And then I go to Oklahoma State when I get back into coach. That was before I got back into coach. I go to Oklahoma State in like 2008, and there's Blackman getting 100-plus balls every week because he's at that dominant position in the exact same offense. We haven't had a dominant guy. We've thrown it just hodgepodge around. If you can get one dominant player, he's going to get the ball. We can direct it. But that's what I want. I want one guy that clearly shines above everybody else. Everybody's doing very good. LT, we'll give him that opportunity. It might Fresh may turn out to be the guy. You know, Durazio may be the guy. He's shown glimpses of he could be the. But we've got to have somebody step up and be that guy. I will say both those guys play the exact same position. The edge player on the right side is usually in this offense is the way you can direct the ball. It's edge player on the right. I'm not telling anybody anything that they wouldn't know if they looked at the film. And that's where LT's plays.
Coach, any personnel surprises from summer going into too deep? Anybody jump out and surprise you a little bit?
I think little Tyler Williams, you know, is really has done a really good job of learning how, because he got here, put it running back and there, kick return, moved around. Such a great young man. I think Tyler is a backup to Fresh. We moved that little H position, that inside slot position to the left, where Fresh played as a true freshman. You've got we moved Terrell Goodman there because we wanted a big body mixed in there because Tyler's another small body. But I was awful proud of the way he played, and as he made some plays there that as he's learned how to be a receiver as opposed to just an athletic running back type position. I think he's been very, very good. I would think it'd be a very big plus for us if Tommy Brown, our transfer from Ohio State. No, offensive tackle. Why? Give me Tommy Brown. It'll be very significant. He would fit into that mold. If he can, if they give the waiver to him, I think he would be that significant to us because we lost 2 tackles, and he is clearly a pretty gifted football player.
A couple weeks ago, you talked to me about Tom O'Leary. Evidently, he's been impressive.
Yeah, he's got plenty of leg. He's plenty of leg. He's a true freshman. I think we gave him the mandate. If you can, you go out there and kick even with with Stein. If you kick even, we'll go with Stein's had a couple of years, and I think we know what he's going to do in a game situation. Of course, Stein's worked real hard, and he believes he can get to another level. But we signed a guy to a full scholarship and told him he could come in here and be the kicker if he just came in here and kicked well. He's kicked pretty well. So if he holds up and those two are even, we should see a new kicker this year. That being said, Robert has had just as these things happen, he has a fabulous preseason. So whether we start Robert and say if you falter, we're going to go to that freshman for good, or the freshman give him a shot right off the bat, and if you don't do well, we've got an upperclassman that can step right in. You know, the fact is Robert kicked 57% last year, and you can't. That's about 11th out of 13 or 12th out of 13 kickers, and he believes he's got a special year in him. So we're going to let that play out. But I think you got a great chance to see a strong-legged kicker that was well recruited by a lot of people in the country that we got in here. He's got plenty of leg. The key is do they have the comfort and the maturity to step in there, whether it be the first week or the second against 106,000 and just crack one through the uprights. You know, it's like a putt on the 18th hole. You got every one of them's a putt on the 18th hole. Our team is everyone counts. Well, he's well over 50 yards. It's what is my range for kicking them from there, putting our defense in that situation is much more concerned with my range than his, because the odds of getting one to go through are not normally as good. But even Stein can kick 52-yard field goals, 50 to 52. He's as a freshman easily has that range. I've said that to me the key for our kickers is from the 20 to the 29 to 49-yard field goals. What is our percentage going to be when we drive the ball down? Can we just line up and kick a field goal every time? Because late in the year we found ourselves always going for it. If it was that 40 38, 48-yard range, we're just going to go for it. You know, after a while, the odds were bad. So I think that's the most important thing for us is not the 50-plus yard field goal, but the consistency of making everything once you get down to where you had a good drive and you want to make sure you come away with points.
Coach Amato seems to be pretty excited about his defense. Is that?
And I think that's true. I think it's valid. I think you know, they've done a great job defensively of building a defense toward the likings of Coach Amato and the style of play. Very fast. He doesn't like guys that are too heavy. He likes guys that are fast and play fast. That's from defensive line to linebacker to everywhere. And so he's got more of that type of team right now. And his smile is especially big because the linebacking core it fits his fancy, his style. Jatavius Brown and Justin March and C.J. Mizell, all lean. You know, Mizell was 169 when he got here, 68 when he got here out of sitting out a year, and he's 128 to 30 right now and can run again, a middle linebacker. Your two outside guys, March and Jatavius, are extremely active. Jatavius can run a 4.4, you know, every time you run him on a 40, it's under 4.5. So he's got, then March runs so full speed. He's always fast. So then behind them, Dylan Evans is an outstanding player, and John Rochelle and John Shelby. It's just they've got 6 linebackers that can run and play like he likes them. And I think what happens is when you get to nickel and dime situations and you have to make a decision whether to go to a backup safety or the starting linebacker, quite often you'll see our starting linebacker still in the game, Jatavius and Justin March, as opposed to going to our backup linebacker. I will say this, Jerome Lane, who is probably 6'4", 215, 218 pounds, playing safety. And he's a scary-looking safety as a first-year player for us because he sat out last year. But if you can imagine what you do in nickel and dime, instead of having to keep your first-team linebacker, and if you can bring in your backup safety and he looks like a linebacker and plays like a linebacker, you're probably getting him more reps back there than you would at linebacker where he might be third team. So he gets more nickel and dime play as a backup there than he would. So you can see the dynamics. So you'd almost have to include Jerome Lane as an interesting new face in that outside linebacker nickel dime type situation to add into that interesting mix.
Terry, you mentioned.
Go ahead.
You all right?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll get it.
Terry, you mentioned Savon Pittman. Could you categorize his acclamation to Chuck in the defense and with Rice and Cappy? Can you have versatility with him and start him inside, but can you move him up and down the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, Savon Pittman, again, transferred in from Ohio State, set out last year. And I think he kind of, at times when you have to sit out and you can't play and you've been at Ohio State and you come to Akron, you go through the motions. You just want to just get me through this year. And at times he's done that. And then when the spring came out, he kind of hadn't gotten out of that mold, that bop, I call it, in the bop. But he has really kicked up the intensity level this two-a-day season. He's moved into a starting position on the inside. He plays just as well on the outside, but because Alfonso Horner's been a 2-year off-and-on starter there, and of course Nordley Cappy was a starter last year. You've got some solid people. He moves in and a little bit ahead of Keontae Hollis, beside our best solid player up front, Cody Grice. But he gives you speed and size at about 6'5.5", 6'6", 270, 268. Gives you a good side that can play inside or move out. And so we're putting our best 4 people in the game. He's playing tackle. When we're getting our best 3 rushers, he might play outside, you know. So he has the versatility to do those things. The key is he can maintain that high intensity level. That's what he has to make sure he can, because sometimes he tends to cruise because of his such ability. You know, imagine him in high school, how at Canton McKinley, how talented he was. He would, sometimes you learn to cruise, and when he plays hard, he can be really good. So he gives us that front 7. We're really excited about our front 7 on defense, and he is one of the guys that has a chance to make it the best part of our team.
Coach, what's the biggest difference the average fan sitting in the stands is going to see from your team? Obviously, you can see the coaching staff a lot of things with scrimmages and practice, but the average fan, what are they going to see?
You know, and I don't know what that is. We're kind of better at everything we did last year. We didn't change the style of offensive play to something entirely different. Defensive people are a lot of the same faces that we've seen in the past. They're very much playing the same style. So we didn't, you know, we played 5 teams that we didn't play last year. 5 teams we've never played. So there's 5 teams. We don't have to change a lot. We can run. They can't. They haven't. They don't. You know, you play in a conference that 3 years, and everybody sees you over and over again. Then you say, "But I better change this." Well, we got 5 teams in a row that have never played against. So they'll have a week to prepare and look at it. So let's just get better at what we do. And let's not worry too much about, boy, we sort of have a lot of tendencies to do this or that. Your fans may know more about what we do than the team we're playing. You know, y'all have seen, well, we always see you do that. But the key is that we execute. So the answer is I don't think there's one area. So they're going to notice a team that's really, this is the difference in us. Well, what you want to see is just a better football team, a team that is a little more dominant on defense, a team that can produce more on offense. Most importantly, we've got to, you know, our goal is to win if we want to change from a losing team to a winning team, go out and look at the most important statistic in college football. The one that when it starts to go from all the teams that won down to all the teams that lost, it usually divides at the same place as the turnover margin. Those who have winning turnover margins are usually above the 500 mark. Those who have losing are usually below the 500 mark, and we've been below both years. Towards the end of the season, we moved ahead last year. So, you know, it's like what comes first, the horse or the cart? Do you win and then you don't have to take chances and you don't turn it over? Or do you not turn it over and that leads to winning? I still think the not turning it over leads to winning. And so if I could say one thing you'd want to see is a team that takes the ball away more aggressively, and that's even more important than giveaways is takeaways. If we see the greatest teams have extraordinarily good defenses that take the ball away, the offense may not – they still can give it away some. The great ones are usually better on that side, just as a statistic that you might be interested in. But that's one we'd want to see. But overall, though, I think they want to see a team that's better at everything we do than we were last year. And hopefully that'll mean some wins that we didn't get, you know. But if you don't see a team that goes out there and we're up by 30 or 28 every game, like you see the dominant teams in the country are, they've got about 6 or 8 teams that they just don't mess up. You're going to be up by 28, 24. By a second half, you're just going to cruise. I don't think that's what fans recognize. And they better get season tickets for 3 or 4 more years because that's part of that's come along, but that's not where we are. We're going to have to be a team that blue collar, bring your lunch pail, work 4 quarters, and be ready to win it on the last series of the game, just like we did last year against whether it be Miami, Ohio, James Madison, Toledo, Buffalo. UMass was trying to kick a field goal to at the end of the game. They were they were trying to go for a field goal. No, well, it was down to the last play of the game. I know much because we took 5 delay of games at the end. We took 5 victory plays at the end to win the game at the very last of the game. So I think we've got to go out there and what you'll see hopefully is a few more games that we look a little bit like a little bit better football team. I think that's what we will be, a better football team.
Of course, your staff has been very close. All the transition. How has that been?
Well, I mean, you know, staff, when you lose Tank, we all know that was a tragedy, losing Coach Arrington in December, and the relationship. Not a good coach that he was, and a very good coach, but the friend that he was to all of us. So he had that bubbly personality that everybody just loved being around, players and coaches. The one thing it's hard to replace, he was the screamer. He was the offensive guy that yelled a lot. And some things you couldn't repeat that he said, but it was kind of football language, of course. But there was a special chemistry on a staff that he provided that screaming and yelling stuff. Coach Peterson, who is incredibly talented and knowledgeable and veteran, is like me. He's a little calmer, you know. And so, and AJ is calm, and Jeff's calmer in his old age, and John. And so I'm trying to find someone, so from a standpoint of trying to find a little more vocal velocity or just loud, steady noise from the offense, so I don't have to do it. But we've had a good transition to Coach Peterson because he's so experienced, great family man, great, been around great programs, understands what it takes to win, understands football, and talks the language of Ohio football. You know, he talks the language. Defensively, we lost Terrell Buckley, but who's a big marquee name and a great person. But we picked up an outstanding coach, Otis Mounds. I've had my eye on him for a long time. He played for me at Auburn. He's been with Tommy Tuberville at Texas Tech, and I've watched him a long time. I watched him as a player. He brings in some coaching skills that I project down the road even bigger and bigger and bigger as a type of coach that he is. So we didn't lose any ground there. And then both of those guys brought very, very unique, very, very big recruiting advantages, relationships to our program. Otis Mounds grew up in Fort Lauderdale, one of the strongest high schools in Fort Lauderdale. He's recruited Fort Lauderdale all his life. That's a huge part, Broward County, a huge part of our secondary recruiting area, Ohio and South Florida. He brings special relationships down there where we expect him to come through. John Peters, even more so, recruiting coordinator, 8 years at Ohio State, 4 years at Akron, 5 years at Miami, Ohio, played at Ohio State, 8 years there. He brings all those relationships to high school coaches in this state. So when you look at our staff, you lost a true friend and a great coach in Tank, but you're able to bring in a guy with great experience, 2 guys with great coaching abilities, but also great recruiting strengths that they bring into the program too. So, and I think we've got a very, very close staff too. John fit right in, Otis fit right in, and it's a very strong group of guys. I'm real pleased to work with these men, and feel very comfortable with their abilities.